generally, the true bunyip appears to have been a herbivore and a very interesting animal. It's very possibly a species that we know of as the marsupial tapir, Palorchestes Azael.
Is this a remnant of megafauna?
That's correct. That was apparently one of the last of the joint relatives of the koala and wombat, one of the diprotodontids, and Australia, up until, I don't know, maybe 20,000 years ago, we're not quite sure, was dominated by a whole array of giant koalas, or relatives of the koalas. They were like giant koalas as big as hippos and rhinos. Many of these are giant kangaroos.
Wasn't there even like a marsupial lion type creature as well?
That's right, marsupial lions that were once again related to koalas and possums. And of course the Tasmanian tiger or thylacine all over Australia, Tasmanian devils all over Australia. And the Palorchestes was apparently one of the last survivors because it was illustrated in cave paintings in Arnhem Land. And it's a very unusual animal. It's got it had a small trunk like a tapir or a very shortened version of an elephant's trunk.
Sure, I understand what you're saying.
And it was the size. It was described as being the size of a bull or horse. It was a quadrupedal animal. It was on all four legs. It was higher at the front and lower at the back. It had a bit of a tail that was a bit almost horse-like, shaggy sort of a tail. It was covered in fur. And the most interesting thing is that it had very large claws. This is a herbivore. It had very large claws, and its elbows were fixed so that it could not move around like walking in a normal way. And it had these giant claws that prevented it from walking around on the ground. Now, this is a thing the size of a horse or a tapir.
Gee.
Or a calf, that sort of size range. And so, due to paleontological descriptions of it standing there ripping bark off trees and stuff, it doesn't sound like much of a diet to me. And it was obviously too big to hang from the trees. And the descriptions of the Aboriginal people in the Victorian and southern New South Wales localities of an aquatic animal seem to resemble most closely this Palorchestes Azael or marsupial tapir, and I think that it may have been an aquatic species, and that, of course, before we destroyed the entire ecosystems in Australia, the place was covered in ancient forests. The rivers were clear and deep and full of giant trees lying everywhere, full of giant Murray cod and everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if these bunyips use their big claws and immovable elbows to hold themselves steady on logs and what have you in the water while they'll be feeding with their trunk on the water reeds and grasses and moving out onto the ground, soft ground where they were observed by Europeans, and always rushing back into the water at the slightest disturbance. And so, and howling. They had a sort of a roaring call. And remember, the Aboriginal people and the early settlers, European settlers, of course, were well and truly in tune with the bushland. I mean, even the early settlers had to often hunt their food, and so would be well and truly aware of all the different bird calls and animal calls, and they were very certain that the calls of the bunyip were of some other animal altogether unknown.